Hello guys, this is a podcast with Darsana, our student. She cracked UPSC Civil Services examination with 383rd rank and it was her second attempt and she will get IAS in this attempt itself. So a lot of information to share, a lot of knowledge to share. So we will be talking about Prelims Mains interview and her optional is Sociology and she's part of our Sociology mentorship and classes. So we will be discussing about that also. But before we begin this conversation, I want you to think about this for a moment. Is it really possible to crack UPSC in just two attempts? Right? Because most of the aspirants that we have seen is like the first attempt is for understanding this process. It takes one attempt to understand the stages and the process and what to read, what not to read, and everything. And the next few attempts are for improvement. And normally what we have seen is success may take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Some might have taken 6 years also. We have seen a couple of examples in our mentees among them itself, right? We have seen Rohin, we have seen Kiran, we have seen Vikas. So these are examples live in front of you. But here, Darshana is someone who cleared prelims in the first attempt, mains also in the first attempt. So prelims, mains, and went till interview stage in the first attempt itself. And then what happened is in the second attempt, he identified the small mistakes that she have done and she refined, she improved, and she came back stronger and she secured a beautiful rank and she cracked her dream, that is IAS. So do you think this is luck getting that in the first attempt or second attempt? No, that's the kind of understanding, that's the kind of clarity, that's the kind of commitment, that's the kind of hard work, that's the kind of smart work, and moreover, the direction given, the mentorship given, and ultimately that person have to execute things, right? That willingness to follow your mentor and execute things. So the biggest shift, what we have seen from the first to second attempt, not much. She have moved from basic understanding to exam level understanding, so that actually added some extra marks to her. Even in interview also she got 40 marks extra. Even in sociology also she got 20 mark extra. So we were identifying, me along with her, we were identifying in which all areas she can get one question 1 mark extra, 0.5 mark extra, 1 mark extra, even in GS and in sociology. So that is what we were trying to do, and that's exactly what happened in the second attempt, and that's exactly the reason why she cracked in the second attempt with IAS itself. Because if you see in her first attempt, she struggled with that content depth and answer completion. So here we focused on enhancing that content and most importantly completing the answer, and the structure also was very important. So sufficient points is there. So in GS our strategy was to give 16 quality answers and completion of the paper. In sociology also on the similar lines, and she focused heavily on answer writing practice and also solving a lot of MCQs. So it was kind of test based learning, and that's what I suggest and that's what I prefer to my mentees. If you see 60% of my mentees, 60 to 70% of my mentees, they followed the same approach. Rest of them, they also have an approach and we complement with their approach, and even that way also they will crack this. But so the thing is, different people are different in their own way, so they will do it in their own way also along with our support. And she improved the content quality and most importantly conceptual clarity, especially in sociology. And in interview also we sat together, and even when filing the DAF itself, previously a lot of complex things have written in the DAF. Now we made it very simple, not too much keywords, something which you can easily prepare, and we made it very simple. Ultimately what we know, the simple things work, and it's not that you need to go beyond your limit also. So what she did is she tried to develop the ability to present answers effectively under the time. So I told you already, the understanding, the guidance that we have given or what we followed is 16 proper good answers with quality content and finishing off the paper. This is what more important. So even in the mentorship also, even if I want to talk about sociology also, she when she came, she was not that good in thinkers. So we are very good in thinkers, and we have added thinkers in her answers. From paper one we have added in paper two also, in paper two we have added in paper one also. We have done that interlinking of papers, right? Integrated approach is what we have followed. The keywords that we already prepared, she started using it, and we have seen that improvement. And she started thinking like a sociologist. Even if you see a sociological perspective, sociological analysis, sociological answers, right? So that anyway you will be getting to understand from this podcast itself. Not generic answers will be rewarded, and most importantly, this is the most important part, you need to translate knowledge into mark. especially in sociology, but in GS also, because knowing is not enough when it comes to this exam. You need to write, you need to tell the examiner that you know. So the only way to convince the examiner that you know is to write properly, especially in sociology. You need to write like a sociologist. That's everything. So one powerful takeaway from her journey, what I've seen is what you write matters more than what you know. This is what I tell to every mentees also. So this podcast that you're going to watch, it is not just about success. This is for every aspirant. If you are in your first attempt or in your second attempt, it will give you motivation, it will give you knowledge. If you have knowledge but you struggle to write answers, that you struggle to put that in the paper to show that, then, or even if you want to understand how to, convert your preparation, this hard work, into a rank. So this podcast, I'm sure it will definitely benefit you. So guys, remember, UPSC is not about time. It is about how quickly you will learn and you will correct your mistake. You might have made some mistakes in the first attempt or in the second attempt. So adapt to that and learn quickly, have a good mentor, go in the right direction, because ultimately, if your direction is right, even if it may take some time, but you will reach there. But if your direction is wrong, you do whatever, you will never reach the destination. So watch this conversation carefully. This time that you're going to spend here, that 20 minutes, it's going to be, beautiful. It is going to give a lot of knowledge, motivation, and everything. This might completely change how you approach your, next attempt. So let's get started. Hello, Darshana. How are you? All good?
Hello, sir. I'm great. Thank you.
So first of all, congratulations for cracking IAS. So how do you feel now?
Thank you so much, sir. And I think it feels like a dream come true. And of course, I'm feeling very happy.
Second attempt itself, you got it right. So can
Yes,
you
sir.
just briefly tell us about your background, like where are you from, your education background, and how to UPSC dream have started and everything.
Yes, sir. So I come from Chhattisgarh, from a village called Janakpur. And I completed my education till class 12th in Janakpur only from government DAV Mukhyamantri Public School. Then I went for my graduation to IIT Kanpur, where I completed my graduation in civil engineering at IIT Kanpur. After that, I started my preparation for UPSC, and this would be my second attempt and second interview, where I have cleared UPSC with All India Rank 383.
So last attempt also you cracked prelims, mains, went till interview here also, and here you cracked your dream IAS. So what's the difference between the last one and this one?
Yes, sir. So the main difference would be that I was well versed with my basic conceptual clarity and foundational content because it was my first attempt. So I was not, my knowledge was not at par, which was required in mains and the interview. So I believe that in my second attempt, what mainly changed was my approach towards the content. And the second thing would be the number of tests that I have given. The number of tests that I have taken increased enormously in my second attempt. And I think practice helped a lot. It improved my answers and in the mains as well as in the interview.
Darshana, many aspirants actually struggle with a basic question: where do I start with? Many want to come into the preparation. This is their dream also. So, what is your take on that? Where should someone start with?
Yes, sir. I believe that everyone has a different starting point, and especially coming from a technical background, I believe that uh, your foundation should be very strong because you have to deal with all the humanities subject. So, sir, I believe that if it is possible, then you should take the necessary help. For example, sir, I started my preparation with coaching only because they gave all the foundational content, all the notes that was required, the fundamental understanding. That makes your job really easier. So if it is possible, then I believe that you can start your starting first year, second with coaching.
Okay, so you have cleared prelims twice in the first attempt also, because many people struggle with prelims. And first attempt itself, you cleared prelims and mains as well. And second also, you cleared prelims. You never struggle with prelims. So, what's your strategy in prelims?
I think so. There are three, four things that I follow religiously in both of my attempts. There are four things. First is my content. Of course, you start with your foundational notes and you revise them and you learn them and you memorize them till you know each and every line of your notes. So, first thing remains your content. Second thing would be previous year questions. If you are well versed with the last 10 to 15 years of question, all the themes that are included, all the keywords that are included there. So second thing is previous year questions. Third thing is current affairs. I believe that there should be just one source of current affairs that you follow regularly and you keep memorizing that as well. And finally, the number of tests that you take. I am a technical background student. I have given JEE, so I believe in attempting a lot of tests. So I attempted a lot of tests in both of my attempts. So these three, four things I keep in mind. And other than that, I focus on attempting a lot in prelims as well. For example, I attempt 90 to 96 questions because your accuracy cannot be same always. So depending on the difficulty of the paper, you decide how many questions you want to attempt, and then you work upon your accuracy afterwards. So these three, four things I keep in mind while attempting the prelims paper.
You cleared prelims and mains twice. So how did you balance your preparation in your prelims and mains and then optional? Optional we can discuss after some time, but how did you balance between prelims and mains?
Sir, honestly, in my first attempt, I would not say that I balanced it very properly because till December, I was working with both prelims as well as mains. I was writing some answers, but after January, I was entirely focusing on my prelims. So the main answer writing for the mains happened during those 3, 4 months that happened like after the prelims result and before the mains exam. But the main preparation for my mains came after the mains happened. For my first mains happened, and I realized what mistakes I was making. I was not able to complete my paper on time. I did not have a lot of points in my answers. So I realized those mistakes, and after my first mains in August, I dedicated my 3, 4 months towards the mains. So if anyone asks me, I would tell them that between your mains, the August time and before your prelims till December or January, this is the best phase to consolidate your notes, write more answers, add more keywords, do more value addition, and that is the best time to prepare for mains. So I think the main preparation happened over there.
And what were the three, four core resources that you always relied upon throughout your preparation? This two attempt you cracked prelims and mains. So that three, four core resources that you followed.
So the core resources that I always follow is for current affairs, I always rely on newspaper. Some people have this opinion that it does not help or different opinions about it, but I believe that reading your newspaper throughout the year always helps. So I always rely on the newspaper. I rely on my own notes, and then I rely on the test solutions. So I have this habit of taking one test. If I'm taking some test, say I'm taking 5 to 8 tests of sociology, I will make sure that I revise those test solutions 3, 4 times. And I will try to replicate those keywords or model answers in my future answers. So that is the main thing that I would do in my subsequent attempt, my second attempt.
Okay, now how about essay preparation, essay strategy? Like normally what we do is we go with pastel approach or chronological approach. Now these days this is becoming a cliche, right? Everyone is doing the same thing. So have you done anything different or is there any specific strategy or you also followed the same?
Yes, sir. I believe that since I have started writing mains since last year, everyone is saying that pestle approach is so cliche, and I agree to that because you cannot write every essay in a pestle format. So what I do is whenever I decide that this is the particular statement I will write my essay on, I will just form 3, 4 questions that would generally arise out of that topic because any theme, any topic, any statement cannot be completely true, cannot be 100% true. there will be some positive to it, some negative to it, and then some synthesis to it. So I usually try to follow that thesis, antithesis, and synthesis approach. So that is the approach. But every essay remains unique in that. It's not like I'm writing only thesis, antithesis, synthesis, similar in a similar format in both the essays. So that is about the format. And second thing is how I try to make it unique is, so over the years, I have read some books. I know some famous personalities that inspire me. I have some favorite quotes. I have some favorite books. I have some favorite poems. So what I try to do is when I'm preparing for my essay, I will take out 1 hour and I will just search about things and anecdotes and quotes that are personally very motivating for me and that I know very deeply. So I will just note them down, prepare a PDF, and I will use that in my essay. So what happens is your examples become unique because if we take a compilation of examples and anecdotes, everyone is using the almost the same compilation. So you end up using the same things. But what I do is I use my own anecdotes and poems.
So you have faced the interview board twice, UPSC interview,
Yes.
and can you share your interview experience?
Yes, sir. So both times my interview was on a Friday, and I was the first person to go. But the only difference was that in my first attempt, my interview was on the first phase, in the first phase. There were no phases in the last attempt, but in the initial phase, like my interview was on 24th of January. And in my second attempt, my interview was in February, towards the last phase. So I think that made a lot of difference in my preparation, given that I had faced interview in my first attempt. I knew where I was lacking. So in my first attempt, what I did, I prepared my DAF, and because I wanted to showcase that I am interested in a lot of things, I have a dynamic personality. So what I ended up doing is I added a lot of keywords in my section 7, that is the hobbies and scholarship part. Uh, and my interview came really early. So I was not able to prepare each and every keyword very thoroughly. I was not able to give very satisfactory answers even to my hobbies. And that was completely my fault. So, and that ended up also giving me a low score. I got 154 in my first interview. And in my second interview, what I learned from it, and I reduced the number of keywords. I made it really simple, and then I prepared each and every keyword like I know it. Like when we are preparing for interview, we take any keyword and then we go into the depths. So I tried going into third or fourth or fifth level of depth of every keyword because I also had a lot of time. So I think that was the main fundamental difference between the two interviews.
Okay, now coming to sociology, that's one of the most important decision any UPSC aspirant have to take, right? Selecting the optional. So tell me, why did you choose sociology as the optional?
Yes, sir. So as I have mentioned that I studied at IIT Kanpur. So at IIT Kanpur, what happens is along with your departmental courses, the civil engineering courses that I had to take, you also had to take some humanities and social science courses. So I took a lot of sociology courses. So I took one course and then I developed interest and I ended up taking three, four, five courses in sociology. So in my last semester, when I finally decided that I want to pursue civil services, I decided that I will keep sociology as an option because I have some fundamental understanding, and it will be a great starting point. And again, the second thing is very common that you have the material available for sociology and a lot of good mentorship available for sociology. So that became a reason for me to choose sociology.
So what was your actual experience when you started dealing with sociology? Because many students select sociology because the syllabus is so concise and very highly scoring, and the toppers have told them to choose sociology. But what was your actual experience when you chose this for this exam?
Yes, sir. So that's actual problem with sociology because you look at the syllabus and you think that you essentially know everything because it's about your society and you can write anything that you want. It's not like you don't know the answer of any question. So it might appear that the syllabus is simple and you understand, But once you're done with the syllabus and you start writing your answers, if you're writing too simple, too generic answer, you will not get any marks. You have to write a good structured answer. You have to address the demand. You have to add certain keywords. You have to add your sociological thinkers, because what you are saying is not important. What a sociological thinker has said in the given context is more important. So all these things become more relevant while addressing a question. So in my first attempt, when I finally consolidated my notes and I started taking tests, I realized that this was the fundamental flaw in my answers. And I think that I tried improving in my second attempt.
Okay, and during your sociology preparation, you were associated with a Civil 360 and me for your mentorship and the classes. So, what was your experience with our classes and mentorship?
Yes, sir. And I think that was the main thing that we dealt with also. Adding relevant sociological thinkers, adding relevant keywords in your answers. That was the main thing that helped me in our sessions, and that reflected in my answers as well in my second attempt. So, for example, when writing answers of paper two, uh, uh, you told me that we should add certain case studies or village case studies that we study in paper two should add them in examples as case studies. So that is the one thing. And second thing is addressing the demand of a question like a sociologist, not a generic person like any other person would, but rather thinking as a sociologist and then addressing the demand of the question. And I think these things really helped in my sociology.
Darshana, you just mentioned about thinking like a sociologist. In fact, in your paper also, they'll start with write in a sociological perspective. So, what exactly is this? What do you mean by, sociological analysis, sociological perspective, sociological thinking? How is it different from others? For example, poverty we can see in GS also and here also. Child labor, women empowerment, all these we are seeing in both. So, how is it different? Can you explain with any one example, basic example, which you're comfortable with?
Yes, sir. The most fundamental example, and it is there in our first chapter only, which is sociology versus common sense. Because sociology is often confused with common sense that, yes, this is so there in society, like patriarchy or poverty, you have given as an example. It is there in the society, and we understand it. But how sociology is different, that you should just do not say that patriarchy is there in the society or poverty in their society. You say with facts and data. You start with facts and data, you analyze it, and then you try to find various reasons in the society that are causing that fundamental problem. When you find those reasons, and then you correlate, and then you find the correlation and the causation and everything. So it becomes a very scientific discipline in that sense. And it is not just common sense. So I believe that if we understand the first chapter really well, or first two, three chapters really well, we will understand how sociology is different from common sense and how we approach it from a very scientific manner, like a scientific discipline that it is.
So, Darshana, you have written a lot of answers in sociology. So, how basically this regular answer writing and evaluation helped you? And we also evaluated a lot of answers from your sociology paper. So, how that will help?
Yes, sir. So when we start preparing for the mains, uh, first hurdle is starting to write a test or starting to write answers. So to break that hurdle, it is very important to have a mentor who will push you that you write answers and I will correct them. I will also tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. So what you're doing wrong is very important to know, because you will that gives you bad answers. But it is also very important to know what you're doing right so that you can replicate it in your future answers. So I think evaluation really helped there, where you told me what I was doing right as well and what I was doing wrong. And slowly, gradually, we improved my answers into something good.
So, what really helped? Is it the evaluation or the feedback or the direction given or the accountability that you will have when you have a mentor who's always asking you questions?
So I think it's very difficult to choose. It's a mix of everything. It is very important that you start writing. When you start writing, it is important that you keep writing. And when you keep writing, it is important that you have a mentor who tells you of how you're writing. So the feedback. So everything is very important and it should run like a nice conveyor belt that everything is happening on time. So I think everything is important here.
Can you just tell how paper one and paper two should be prepared? Like, except in this year, normally paper one students score very high because it's purely theoretical. You can prepare, you can go right. But paper two, I've seen many are struggling, especially when you need to write in perspective. You need to add current affairs. You need to add examples. So they're struggling. So how it should be paper one and paper two? Is it integrated, or you need to treat it differently, or how did you do that?
Yes, sir. I think paper one and paper two, the important lesson that I learned is do not shy away from using what you have read in paper two in paper one, and similarly for paper one in paper two. So do not compartmentalize what you write in both these papers. You can use your content simultaneously in both paper one and paper two. So first thing is that. And second thing is, yes, paper one is more technical and if I can say more static in that sense. So it can be prepared and you can write your answers, you can just read more. And for paper two, what I like doing is that for all the keywords that you have, if you can just pick up a few thinkers, if you can pick up a few current affair examples and just make a table out of it for all the keywords, like in a spreadsheet or in your notes or somewhere. If you make this spreadsheet or table, what you have is a good collection of all keywords, thinkers, current affairs at one place that you associate with that particular keyword. So it becomes really easy for you to fetch that thing from your memory into the paper. Because at the end of it, what matters is not how much you have read. Of course, it is important to read, but it is very important what you actually put on the paper. And when we are under certain pressure, and in 3 hours, you have to complete the paper also, you have to write nice also in good handwriting and nice structure and everything. So your muscle memory should work really fine. So I believe that for that muscle memory, it is very important. Just make a table, make your short notes really nicely so that you can put everything on your actual paper.
So Darshana, many students choose optional, especially sociology, randomly. So what should someone seriously think about before choosing sociology as optional? What should they keep in mind?
Yes, sir. Sir, if I am starting again and I have to choose an optional, how I would choose is first, I would look at the syllabus. I would look at the index, I would look at the syllabus, and I will see uh, if it is exciting for me, if I am feeling curious about these topics. For example, whenever I see family, religion, society, do I want to know more about it? So exciting and curiosity and these things should be the primary factors when you choose an optional. Because there's a second thing, related thing is if you're able to study your optional for 6, 7 hours, if you're not able to study your optional continuously for half of your day at least that you're studying, you should not choose that option. Because when you're preparing for your mains, when you're writing your mains, you have to study that optional for 6, 7 hours, and it is very important to that you can continuously study it. So the first thing is that, and second thing would be look at the question paper also, look at the trends, how the UPSC is giving the question paper, and if you are finding it solvable or not, if you're finding it exciting or not. And sir, a lot of people talk about marks, trends, and all these things. I think that should not be a factor while choosing your option, because in the same option, people have scored 300 plus as well, and in the same option, people have scored 200, less than 200 as well. So that should not be a criteria for choosing your option. It should solely be based on your curiosity in that subject, and second, good mentorship available for that subject. So, and I think both these things are available for sociology, and if you're interested, then you should take sociology as option.
Before we conclude, if someone is starting UPSC preparation today, what would be your top three pieces of advice to them?
Okay, top three pieces of advice. My first advice will be just be very clear. Why do you want to do this? Because this is a time-taking process. Minimum time is 2 to 3 years at least. So be very clear. why do you want to do this? And if you're in the middle of it, just keep reminding of yourself why you started it. And second thing is have a good peer group, not a very big group, but at least three, four, five people that who are your good friends, and you. So basically, you have a good study group. So second thing would be a good having a good study group. And so third thing would be using technology very wisely. Because you have social media, you have ChatGPT, you have AI, you have everything. But my belief is a bit old school, but still I believe that use AI as much as you need. Uh, Not a lot, because if you start writing your answers with ChatGPT, you will never write your first answer. You will always be scared of writing your answers because it will be giving you very perfect, nice answers. And if you're not thinking by yourself, and it will become a very serious, major problem in your mains, and then a major problem in your interview, because you have to think very quickly over there. And if you start thinking with ChatGPT or AI only, you will be not able to think on your own. So I think just use technology very wisely now.
Now, for students who want to choose sociology as their optional, what would you tell them? Will you recommend our mentorship to them?
Yes, sir. As I have said and mentioned earlier as well, if you have good, nice guidance available, nice help available, please take that help. Otherwise, the process becomes really difficult. So I would definitely suggest anyone who wants to start their sociology preparation, I would suggest them to start with Civils 360 and under the guidance of Safir, sir, because it has helped me a lot in improving my score and understanding the sociology better as a subject as an optional.
Thank you so much, Darshana. All the best.
Thank you, sir.